And a wonderful good day to you. This is Owen McCafferty. I'm speaking on behalf of Professional Fusions, and the title of our topic is You Know Not the Day Nor the Hour. At any point, decisions that you make in terms of your practice will affect its value. And you might not say, well, or you might say that it won't affect me because I have no intention of doing anything with my practice other than working. And that's a wonderful thing, but you know not the time when you may be bringing in a person for partial interest, or you might be selling the entire practice. Now let's go through some examples. Partial interest sale. I was meeting on last Thursday with a good friend from a northern state that flew down to the beautiful state of Florida, land of the free, home of the brave. And we were going through things, and at the end of the meeting he said, I think I'm going to offer a couple of my associates a partial equity interest. And I said, well, that's great. Let's talk about it. How would we do it? And he had just gone through a growth mode. He was focused in on the construction. Therefore, he didn't really give a lot of attention the way he normally would to his practice, quite understandably, because he had another objective to accomplish. So what he did instead was he refocused in on the projects for that period of time, and the practice growth slipped. The operating costs were changed. The support staff costs specifically, and this was a dental practice, changed a little bit, and it was something that he would be now focusing his attention and making corrections, both in terms of number of people in the staff with the volume reduction. And he'll be growing it. He'll be doing rather well. It was only a burp, but you can't have it all ways. You can't focus in on a project and accept a reduction in gross income or a reduction in profit because of increased operating costs, and then expect to sell it for a good price. So you have to make a decision of when you're going to do things, and understand that every decision that you make in your practice affects value. In terms of profit, which is the easiest one to talk about because that's the net result of gross income and operating expense, profit is affecting practice value anywhere from 6 to 1 times on the low end, and in larger capitalized practice ratios, such as in veterinary medicine, could be as much as $12 to $18 for every dollar of profit lost. So you can see that it's an important thing to keep on top of your profit margin. What we recommend to our clients is that every 3 to 5 years they have a valuation. Now, not all of them want to do it, and I understand that completely, but it's not a bad idea to see where you sit and to measure your decisions based on that. So, for example, if you want to take a longer vacation 1 year, that will have a bearing in terms of your margin. That's not a good time to then sell the practice because there could be a reduction in gross income. You got to use your head. You got to understand there is a Kierkegaardian if-then statement that's operated. If you do this, then this will result. You can't change that. So be aware that that's one factor. Another factor, you're trying to buy some equipment for your practice, and everybody wants to improve on what they're doing. So you buy the equipment, but it takes some time to learn. And then it takes some time to integrate the service that is offered through the enhanced capacity of equipment. And that takes some time for the patients to understand what you're doing, how you're doing, and it takes practice to operate that equipment. sometimes you have to send someone, such as in sonography. You got to send somebody to a series of courses. And then they have to come back to the practice and teach some of the other providers how to use the equipment. That takes time. Introduction of equipment that is long range effective is not a good decision in the year that you make a decision to sell. Another big mistake is the combination of expansion of premises coupled with a decision to bring in an associate for a partial interest. Not a good thing, because the practice hasn't grown into the facility. The associate certainly is not going to have the profits if you increase the rent for the new facility, and also expect the associate to pay a value based on what the practice was doing in terms of net profit, or EBITDA, if you will, before that. So all of these things have a bearing, and you want to use your head a little bit. From a purchasing standpoint, that is the absolute best time, because you've got the most leverage. You can argue that the value has diminished, and you can pay less for the practice. So there's an opposing viewpoint between buyer and seller. From a seller standpoint, don't be foolish, don't make changes. From a buyer standpoint, identify those changes that will, at some point in the future, yield an increased benefit, an increased profit, and then argue accordingly that this may be a justification for you to obtain a consideration in price. So these are just some ideas, some thoughts. As usual, we're going to try to keep these very short, something for you to think about and then pursue. So this is Owen McCafferty. Thank you very much. Really appreciate your time.